Hey everybody, just drinking some teas here and sat down and thought of a few kind of common questions that we get about more of the logistical end of things, how Yunnan sourcing's run, how we choose teas, things like that. So I'm going to answer a few of those questions as well as I can so that you all get an idea of how we are doing things. But I'm going to drink some tea too because it's time to drink some tea. I'm drinking just a sample that I got. It's a 2001 dry stored ewol cake. I'm going to give that a little run and see how that goes. What's up, Lucy? Come here. Hi. Hi, come here. What are you doing? Oh no, Lucy. She has a cactus on her face. Oh, pencil cactus. Hold on. Oh, these are nasty. You got any more? Yeah, so anyways, a little unexpected dog drama. There's always, whenever you have a dog, and you have a bunch of cactus around, there's drama, so. Anyways, yeah, 2001 dry stored ewol that I'm just tasting for the first time that I got a sample of. I'm gonna give that a try. But so the first question I want to answer is how do we choose the teas that we source, or what are we looking for when we source teas? And that's a really good question because I think that coming from being in China, being in Yunnan, being in a wholesale tea market where there's literally hundreds of wholesale tea shops, and kind of that's where I got started, was really to find legitimate teas that are what they say they are. If they're from a certain area, they should be from a certain area, obviously. If they're of a certain age, or the age that people claim they are, especially when it comes to pu-erhs, that they are actually that age. So but more than that, I think what we're really trying to do is we're really trying to always adhere to the number one rule, which is that there should always be a strong price to quality ratio. That's very, very important. Lucy, you're hungry? You have to wait. It's too early. Go away. Lucy's hungry. The recent time change has messed up her clock, or rather messed up her feeding time. Anyways, yeah, so the main thing is that the tea always has to have a really strong price to quality ratio. So teas that are hyper expensive, they need to be hyper good if they're hyper expensive, or for pu-erhs they need to be super old. We tend to avoid the real extremes where there's no real price to quality relationship. There are some teas I think that are, have a strong price to quality relationship, but still aren't good. So they also have to be good. So in other words, we really try to avoid the extremes on one side or the other. That's often when you get like super famous teas, like from famous tea factories that are, maybe like a 90s dye or things like that, where you have 7542 cakes from 1999 that are going for, couple $1,000s and things like that. I tend to not want to sell those because I find that the price to quality relationship there seems to be lacking, because these kind of like classic teas, yeah, they're classics, but from a drinker standpoint, and I'm ultimately a tea drinker, so I really I do collect teas, but I don't collect teas just to collect them. I want to be able to, there be a strong price to quality relationship. Lucy's over there sulking. It's pretty funny to watch. But, so that's the main thing. The other thing that's really important to me in terms of sourcing teas is how do we, the relationships that we have with the people that we get the tea from, whether they be growers or whether they be village cooperatives or whether they be wholesalers or whether they're whoever that they are that we're getting tea from, and we get tea from all those different types of folks, that they're honest, that they're that we can work with them, that if there's a problem we can address it and not have it be a big deal, and have just that trust and that relationship. So that's always over the years I've been able to find more and more people and gravitated towards them and develop those relationships with them so that we can get good teas, and we can we don't have to waste our time going through like hundreds of like crappy samples just to find one good tea. So over the years, as we've developed our relationships with the people that we have and kind of cut relationships with some of the people who either don't have good teas or aren't honest, things like that, we've really got some incredibly awesome people that we work with. And because we have those long-term decade plus relationships with them, we are able to get good pricing. We're able to get just consistently good teas. We're able to get teas that haven't been sprayed with pesticides, because that's what we want, and that's what we tell people we want. So that's what we look for when we source teas. That's kind of a real general thing. Obviously there's a lot of other things I don't want to get into, like what makes a good pu-erh good or a good oolong, dancong oolong good. That's a topic for each of those can be individual topic to videos. So let's move on here. Why are your prices low? Why are your prices so low? Which I get a lot. Maybe not everybody feels that way about every product that we sell, but generally, I get a lot of kind of communications from people, and I hear and I see online, oh, why are Yunnan Source's prices so much lower? And people that haven't tried our teas are like, they can't be any good because the prices are so inexpensive. And why, so, the whole psychology of pricing is really interesting. I find that when people don't understand something, they tend to use price to help them differentiate good from bad. If everybody was an honest seller with the same percentage markup on their products, then we might be able to actually use price as an indicator of quality. But unfortunately, we can't do that. So, I've always erred on the side of thinking, okay, and from the beginning, when I first started doing tea, there were people that I was selling to that actually knew more about pu-erh than I did, especially in the beginning, because I had just started out. They'd maybe been drinking pu-erh for 10 years or longer, or 5 years or whatever, but I had just started out. I drank pu-erh a little bit in the 90s, but wasn't heavily into it until the early 2000s. So when I started selling pu-erh, there were definitely quite a few customers who really knew more than I did. So I just took the approach that I was going to mark it up an X amount and try to really just, get people to drink the tea. And, not have people fault me for overcharging them and losing customers because of that. So, and not only that, but very quickly as the market developed and as we began to sell more and people started to learn more about pu-erh, which is kind of how we got our start, there was more and more competition happening all the time. And really, before I started selling Yunnan Sourcing brand especially, the teas that we sold, the pu-erhs that we sold, could also be found, of course, in the Chinese market as well. So I always wanted to have my pricing be competitive. And I mean competitive like in relationship to people selling on Taobao or AliExpress or any of these kinds of other Chinese sites. So basically, from the beginning and until now, the markup or the profit margin that I'm comfortable with, I would say, is significantly lower than most other tea companies. And I can't categorically say lower than all of them or this or that, because I don't know what other tea companies, what their markups are and what their profit margins are. But I've always been comfortable with really just getting people to drink tea and being able to, to sell tea on a regular basis and being able to go through batches and have people be excited and keep that price there so that everybody felt, basically everybody would have access to it. And that's always been a thing, because especially starting out in China as I did, and going to the, wholesale market every day and seeing the tea there, and then you see the spring tea and you see the autumn tea, and then it's the next year. So there's always tea, and it's not to say that tea isn't rare or good tea isn't rare, but I think it's also important that we're not trying to keep the tea. We're not, putting this tea up here and saying, oh no, I can't. I mean, I can't even afford to drink this tea, or I've tended to avoid the extremes again, and I really just want people to drink tea, and so the pricing I think reflects that. Which brings us to our next question that we get a lot from people, and it kind of ties in a lot with the prices. Is why do you charge shipping, or why is shipping so expensive? And of course I'm talking about from YunnanSourcing.com, where everything ships from China. Gotta try this tea here. Actually, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think this isn't dry storage. This is probably equate storage, because it's got kind of a little bit of a wet storage taste. But I know it's from equate, so it probably was actually stored there. Real dark tea soup here. But anyways, the shipping that we charge is based on weight, and it's the exact price of shipping that we pay plus $1. Now, for a really tiny package, $1 probably will cover more. Will cover the cost of the packaging in the little box, but for larger packages it wouldn't. But I found an average of adding $1 onto the exact price of shipping, the postage that we pay to China Post. That's how we do it, and it's based on weight, and all the different countries have different rates, and there's different shipping methods to different countries, and it's all weight based. So the shipping that we charge is the actual cost that we pay to ship the products. And the reason that we don't offer free shipping is because, well, for a lot of reasons. One, we'd have to come up with an average across all these different countries. We ship to 70 different countries in the world. And so to offer free shipping, we would have to choose for each country which shipping method we were going to use. Some people, and we couldn't choose the cheapest ones, because like Surface, that can take 2 months. So we'd have to choose EMS for some and air for others. But the problem with that is that, some countries the shipping is very cheap and very inexpensive, and then other countries it's much more expensive. So to take the cost of the shipping and to put it into the product price according to whatever the weight the product was, would create a situation where you'd have people in, let's say, people in Japan or Korea, or even the US, who would be paying more for the shipping, and people in Russia and Ukraine and some of these other countries where it's typically more expensive to ship there would actually be paying less. So that would create, because we'd have to create an average, cost per weight that we'd have to add in and put it into the product. The other issue with free shipping that I see is that it often it creates a situation where people who want to order a lot of tea, let's say you want to order 10 kilos or 15 kilos of pu-erh and have it shipped by Surface. Let's say you had 10 kilos of pu-erh. You could get 10 kilos of pu-erh to the US or Canada or Europe for like $35 total. But if we were using a free shipping type scheme, those types of very cheap and very very slow, cheap shipping methods wouldn't be available to people anymore. And I find that people really like to choose those. So, again, the idea behind free shipping, and I think some people don't realize this, so I'll state it, is that there is no such thing as free shipping, especially not when it comes to international shipping. There's just, there's no such thing as free shipping. Our shipping rates are as cheap as they get, that are available to businesses that ship from China. And then again, we don't make any money on that. So again, to remind people, there is no such thing as free shipping. Even in the United States, which we do offer free shipping for $75 or more from shipping from UnanSourcing.us. So if you are a US based customer, I would definitely take advantage of that. But we do pad a little bit into the product cost to cover that. So in fact, the prices on UnanSourcing.us typically are slightly higher to account for that. So, again, it's possible to do fairly easily on domestic shipping within the US, but for international shipping to 70 different countries, it's just not possible. So we appreciate everybody understanding that. But I think when you look at the cost of the product and then the cost of the shipping, whatever it is that you choose, you'll find that our prices and the quality of the tea that you get is still second to none. So it's really important to remember that. I wouldn't get hung up on the shipping. I'd consider really the price that you paid for whatever order that you make, and to add the shipping and the cost of the product together, and I think that you'll still probably feel comfortable with the level of quality that you get from the teas. So that's hopefully that explanation makes sense. It's something that has been something I've considered but backed away from, mostly because I felt like it would alienate customers if I did so. So then finally, the real quick one, which is what's the difference between UnanSourcing.com and UnanSourcing.us. So UnanSourcing.com is the original Yunnan Sourcing, and that is a website that is dedicated to all the teas that we keep in Kunming in Yunnan in China. And so if you're outside of the US, you probably want to order from UnanSourcing.com. We ship directly from China all over the world. UnanSourcing.com does have a larger selection as well, but you've got to pay that shipping. UnanSourcing.us is based in Oregon, Bend, Oregon, where we have a storage warehouse there, and we ship all of our products directly from Oregon to the US, and we can ship to Canada and other countries as well. You may find that it's probably a better deal to have the product shipped from UnanSourcing.com in China, but you're certainly welcome to order from UnanSourcing.us. But for US customers, anything over $75, if you order $75 of items, you're going to get that shipping for free. So that's nice, and you're going to get it, in 2-3 days. Typically, we have a 1 to 2 day turnaround on the shipping. We're not the fastest because we're a real small operation with just a part-time employee there. So we appreciate everybody's patience. Sometimes it's 1 to 2 days before we're able to ship things, business days. But you do get that free shipping, and you get it USPS priority. So, usually even if you're in Florida or something, you can get it within 3 to 4 days. So anyways, that's about it. Didn't really get to this tea much, but we will be making another tea drinking video coming up here. We have, and I completely forgot about it, Spring Sanhejai 2017. It had the last cake that we pressed. It's a blend, and it just completely forgot about it. It was sitting in the tea factory for a couple months, and they said, "Hey, when you come and get your tea," and sure enough, so we're going to be drinking this and talking about this. We did a 2011 Sanhejai video not long ago, so that should be fun. Anyways, thanks for watching.